Hello and welcome to the show. I am your host, Terry Ann Russell, and I'm here today with my bestie, my co host, Keegan. Today, we're diving deep into something we're all feeling on a cellular level, how our bodies are adjusting to something. And we're not exactly sure what it is, but our bodies are like, hey, it's time to pay attention. And so we're calling it the divine split, embodying light and embracing shadow. Keegan, welcome to the show.
You for having me. I love being on here.
I love Third Thursdays. I look forward to it.
Yes, and I'm so fascinated every time how we're like on the same wavelength and how so many other people are feeling these things.
Yeah, and
Makes you not crazy.
I want to say too, because we sometimes plan something out. We were going to talk about disassociation today. And when we connected yesterday, it's totally out the window, but it may come up while we're talking today. I want to start with so the divine split. It's really like an energetic movement where humanity and each of us really are standing between these two realities now. So we have where we've been and where we're going, and we are somewhere in this middle spot. And I feel like we talked a little bit about it earlier, but a lot of it is one is rooted in this fear, control, illusion that we live in. The other is rooted in love and divine truth and trust and peace. Now, for me, I'm laughing because I talked about the body being a battleground and a sanctuary, and I'm thick in it, and my body's like, what the hell? I want to know from you, Keegan. I can attest to that. What are you feeling?
I definitely am feeling an overwhelming sensation of the same thing. I feel like it is a constant up and down. And I feel like it's a constant battle between my mind and my heart. Like I feel like literally there are two beings in here playing tug of war, and I'm the mouthpiece in these times because I'm just seeing such duality outside of me, and I'm feeling such duality inside of me, and it's the perfect parallel. It's a perfect reflection. So for me, it has to be truth, and to feel it on my body is like I told you earlier, I feel like my mind is in a whole nother time zone above all of this, above all of the chaos and the craziness and the what ifs and the fear. And then my body is over here like on this other battlefield saying, hold on a second, I'm not as fast as you. And we're like pulling, let's go. And it's been really heavy, and it's been really tiring, very tiring. I feel like I could rest all day, every day.
Yeah, I sort of feel like I've been hit by a truck most days. It's like, even yesterday, I was like, I was in so much pain. My body was like physically pain. And it wasn't pain like on the outside, like when you're getting sick or you have a fever or you're achy. I could actually feel it from the inside. And people look at me like I'm crazy when I start to describe these symptoms, but it's like the inside was sort of like going through this energetic change, and it was like pulsating and it was uncomfortable. And I was like, do I really want to do this? Because I'm like, I've been very honest about the battle that I've had with my body. And my body for me has been a huge struggle over this lifetime. And I know you and I have talked about it, and you feel sort of a similar way. Have you had any sort of feelings like that?
Yes, actually, to the point where I'm really contemplating just spending the night in a hospital and getting all kinds of tests done just to prove to myself that it's energetic. But I'm literally feeling things like clear out of my body to the point where I was looking up what blood clots felt like and stuff like that because it wasn't painful. It literally felt like something moving through parts of my body and like
Yeah.
space clearing, and it would get really dense and make me feel kind of woozy, and then all of a sudden it was like pure clarity, and it was energy, and and I was writing, I was cleaning the house, and I had like these spurs of energy happening after these odd, really like disassociating body feelings. Like, is this my heart? Am I having a heart attack? Am I having a blood clot? Is there an aneurysm happening? What is this clearing I'm feeling in the back of my head, rising up? It's not painful, but it's there. Like, what is this? And it kind of does. It feels like bubbles sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Like,
crazy, isn't it, when you when you look at it? And I want to start with this today because our body holds so much memory, right? And not only from this lifetime, other lifetimes, collective trauma, and even some karmic stuff that we have from other lives that we bring into this life. So if you imagine that our physical body is housing all this stuff within our DNA, within our womb as women, I mean, we have this shit in there, and it's like, how do we move it through? And sometimes we don't even know. I love that you shared about going to the hospital and looking at all these tests, because logically you're like, okay, maybe
Oh,
this is what it is. I need to check it out. And I think that's great. And
I'm
then,
like, I'm almost 30. Maybe I'm having a heart attack. I don't know. Go check it out.
oh my gosh, I wonder sometimes. My husband's home today, but I like wonder what it's like to be married to me.
I know. One minute I'm like, oh gosh, maybe we're going to have to call the ambulance. The next minute I'm like, what do you want for dinner? Let's go.
I've always said being married to a spiritual woman is not an easy path.
No. I pray for them.
When we're not yelling at them. But, because I just wrote this book, the Crystalline Light Series 2, and it delves a lot into the womb and the divine feminine. And there's no coincidence that this ancestral memory is held within there. And so when you think about this stuff beginning to surface with the womb, think about pelvic pain or hip pain or discomfort, and you're like, what is going on with my body? And then, like you were talking about, feeling this bubbling with inside. And it's almost, I feel like it's like detoxifying what we've been given. And now we're in this space, and the body is still trying. I always say the body is the heaviest, right? So the body's always lagging behind a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I don't understand sometimes. Like when you're in the thick of it, it's like, okay, we're cleansing, right? And the toxins need to rise before they leave. But in the process, I think a lot of people think it's easy, and it's not. It's a very uncomfortable feeling if you're going through it at this time. Can be very uncomfortable.
It can be. And how we're talking about the possibility of health scares and things like that. Obviously, if you're ever having pain in your body and it's not going away, you should go see a doctor about it. But sometimes it really is energy moving through us, things we resisted and things that we are now being exposed to that are triggering certain things and allowing release because you're addressing it differently. You're seeing it differently. Something that might have happened to you as a child with child eyes is now repeating itself in a different way, and now you have adult eyes, and this energy is being released. It's saying like, oh, you brought it to the surface. And I feel like with this divine split happening and that happening in our bodies, it's like I feel like we've chosen kind of how we want to live. Like, do you want to live in a heart space, or do you want to live in a space of hatred or victimhood or whatever it is, the opposite of of what you perceive as the light. And I think that the more we choose, we're going to surface a lot of things out of the darkness that we did not even know was there, just because it's the natural swing of things. And I feel like that's what it feels like, that detoxification, or that bringing things to the surface that you didn't even necessarily know was there.
Yeah. And then when you look around your surroundings, right? Because we believe always that it comes from within and then it manifests in the physical. The people you're around, the things that you're watching, the food that you eat. And we've talked about this before too, just how much of it is being brought up again for us to look at again. Are you going to do this again? Are you going to go down this same path again? Or are you going to choose a different way? And before the show, you shared with me about moving into that space. And I think it was really profound because it does feel like that duality. You know that you're moving towards it, but the body is still struggling with it. And then the mind sort of gets involved too and is like, well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's really this. But then there's other times when there's such clarity and you're so confident in, I know I don't need this in my life. Have you had those sort of aha moments lately too?
Absolutely. And I know that I'm bringing them to the surface because I'm now seeing them on the outside of me in other people. So things that I was struggling with, I'm now seeing like reflecting in other people's problems or other people's cycles, or maybe a cycle that I see in them. It's because I have realized where I was keeping that duality within myself. And having that battlefield within us with the duality is that, because so many times we're saying no when we want to say yes, or yes when we want to say no, and that in itself is holding duality at the same time. And so the more I think that I peel away and consciously choose to I would say, like, dig a little deeper within myself and ask myself, like, why is this bringing up this kind of emotion? Why is it bringing up this kind of feeling? Why is this happening? I shouldn't, at this point of the game, I shouldn't be feeling this way, or I shouldn't be still expressing this way. And then when you're seeing rage in people that, have no reason to hold rage, or you're seeing, sadness in people that have no reason to hold sadness, or you're seeing, regret and shame and all of these things, it's I think reflecting that duality, because you're now encompassing the mirror of that, the opposite of that. That's why you can see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the inside is very much on the outside, even with conversation and social media and the news and, everyday human stuff, our groceries, everything. I have to pay a shit ton of money for groceries that I know are going to taste like crap at this point.
It's really true. I chuckle because it's like sometimes I just feel like, I asked my husband this morning, like, what is it all for?
Yeah.
It's like we've done this over and over and over and over and over again. And what is this all for? It's like, here I am again.
Yeah.
And did I really learn before? And have we really learned? If you go back, 2,000 years and you talk about, all of that with Jesus getting persecuted and executed, and then you see the things that are going on today and you wonder, how could there be so much hate in the world still so many years later? I don't understand how people cannot have a conversation without
Neither do I.
getting into this angered state of, you're right, I'm right, and you're wrong. I just don't understand how we've come so far, yet we haven't come far at all, or far enough.
I think it's because of that duality. Like, we have these triggers within inside of us, and I don't care what anyone says out there. What's right and wrong. What doesn't matter what you're portraying to society. Doesn't matter what ego you're holding on to. Deep down in your heart what being human is and what humanity is. And if you're not, we usually identify you as a sociopath and you're not part of society. But and I think most of the anger comes from people not being willing to drop the ego and say, you know what, you're right, and I should change the way I think a little bit here. Or, you know what, this situation changed how I view things. I don't have to hold on to this. Part of being human is evolving. Part of being human is saying, like, hey, duality exists so that I can choose, because the whole point of this is free will and choice.
Yeah.
And I think people get so stuck on holding on to these, like, personalities and these egos because they have built something on top of them, that this is why such hate is happening. Because the hate is not because you really hate someone. It's because you're so afraid to be seen. You're
Yeah.
so afraid to be seen, and that what you are or what you aren't isn't enough, or isn't right, or isn't good, or isn't acceptable. And that's the root of it all. If you
Yeah.
were truly secure and understood that duality does exist and it exists inside of us and the choice is there, then you would move differently. You wouldn't say to, like, I'm glad this person was killed because I don't like what they say. Like, you're happy a child went to bed without their father.
Right.
You're happy a mother had to put her children to bed and that their life is forever maimed. You're happy about that?
That they had to
What is that?
witness it too. Yeah.
And that all of America and the world now can witness that. Like, you're happy about that? wow, that says a lot about who you are as a person. And I feel like we are seeing this split because it's not
Yeah.
like, okay, I agree with you here, but not here. It's more like, where is your humanity at this point? We
Yeah.
can't even agree on humanity. This is interesting. This is a very
You had an
interesting place.
opinion, so you should die. You had an
Yes.
opinion I didn't like, so you should die. I mean, it's horrible. I think that because so much darkness is being brought to the light, and we know what happens when the darkness is being brought to the light. It's not just a spiritual concept. It's something that I feel that we hold within a cellular. It's a somatic response our physical body has because we've done this so many times before. This is not the first time that we are living through these sort of experiences, but it's probably the first time where we're seeing this complete, in our lifetimes at least, this shift of everything, right? We're shifting between the two. And I felt that sort of tug of war. Do I want to go back to here or do I want to go forward? I'm stuck somewhere in the middle. And I keep going back to, yes, I want to be here, but I'm here. And like, I'm getting tired.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
body is not only tired, my soul is getting tired. And what does that mean for us when we have that soul exhaustion? Because it's been such a long journey, for us as these soul warriors, as I call them. You sort of feeling that too?
Yeah, and do you kind of feel like, I know you and I have talked before about past lives and, reoccurring, and how you're talking about us on a cellular level. I feel as though, and I would like to know if you feel this way, that this might be my last life. Like that I won't be coming back to this type of environment ever again. That I have to put it all out here and I have to just put it all out and not have anything when I go, not have any regrets, not have any, wish I loved, wish I didn't love, wish I didn't do this, or wish I did this, and just put it all out there. Cause I feel like what we see is never going to exist again. Just like who we are today is not going to be who we are tomorrow. It's impossible.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I've had like this deadline I've had to meet.
Mhm.
And I don't necessarily feel that I'm meeting it. So for me, because I am the way that I am and I struggle with humanly things, for me, that's an issue because I like to meet my deadlines as much as I'm intuitive, I'm analytical. I'm still, working on that perfectionism that I keep that is just really for myself. It's not about anybody else at this point. It's about Terry Ann and how Terry Ann views herself. Um, I'm working through that. So I feel like I had this deadline. And then somewhere in between, we have this divine fucking feminine that is a beast, right? We all within us have this beautiful beast. And she's standing there. And I see her like clear as day, like on a bridge between the shadow, between the light, between body and between spirit. And I'm like, but she's in it and she's not afraid of it and she's ready to do it and go through it. And I'm over here like, wait, I'm trying.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like my mind is over here, my body's over here, and there's literally like a tug of war happening. And I'm like, no, I'm coming, come on. That's really what I feel like. And Mother Goddess over here is like, no, cut it. Let's go. Cut it. I need
Yeah.
6 months with you. Cut it all out.
Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. It's
Cut
over.
it.
You've had your time. It's time to go. And you're like, what the hell? And we've been asking for it. I know I've been asking for it for a long time. And I know the warrior that stood before me. And I said this often too. A lot of times she scared the hell out of me because I know the power that I hold. And that's sometimes what scares me. But she's
Yeah.
like, fuck this shit. It's time to go. I'm not playing your little humanly games anymore. This is where you're going. I want to know who else out there is feeling this because I know when Keegan and I discuss stuff like this, it's not just us who are in the thick of it. There's a lot of you that comment and share with me that you're in the thick of it also. So if you're out there and you're listening today, please just comment and share, how you're in the thick of it, what you're doing to get through it. And I feel like we can sort of embody this light together and bring a closeness that we definitely need as this divine feminine warrior.
And part of having these discussions and part of having these hard discussions allows us to surrender to that. I think it allows us to surrender to these ideas that we don't have to hold it all, especially as women. And I feel like that is rising in us like a dragon. And it's like, enough is enough. She's carried so much. It's almost like the inner child is the one that's been racking all the knowledge the whole time. And she's like here with a vengeance because she has now mothered herself. She has now, seen what the world does to the innocent and what the world does to the pure. And, I think so many people are building up to that, and so many women too. And it's coming out through defending their children. It's coming out through defending their homes, their bodies, their voice. So many are being silenced right now everywhere for so many things. And you're seeing hatred try to suppress or hijack, because they do, the powers that be try to hijack the energies that are really being felt. And they try to bypass and make it seem as though it's hatred, but it's not. It's a deadline. Like, enough is enough. The deadline might not be for yourself. The deadline could be for the amount of shit you're willing to carry.
Yeah.
Like, we're done. This is the line. That's it. And what happens from there, it has to move. It has to split. And people,
yeah. And if you're like me, do you sort of like, so I get caught up in the logical, right? I'm like, well, if I go here, then what happens here? And who's coming with me? And is it going to be enough? And so, like, if I get to that spot, and it doesn't happen often, but I feel like at this point, these last few weeks for me, I've been in this point where the logical aspect is like, look, you need to stop worrying about everybody else, and you're going. There's no longer a choice in whether you're going. You're going.
the choice.
You don't have the choice anymore.
No, and I've had this overwhelming, calming sensation. Like, I'm even watching people completely rage out around me, and I'm just like, why so much energy? Why so much anger? Like, why are you not seated in your understanding that you chose already where you were going when you came here? This is just all you remembering that you are here to anchor something new. You are here to ground the unconditional love and the grace of it all, and to understand that destruction and chaos and hatred and all of it is the exact duality to everything you want to encompass here. Yeah. We can't negate one to have the other. It doesn't work. We've been doing that in society forever. Get rid of this side. The only way to make it stop is to get rid of it. No, it's to accept it and surrender to it and choose what side of things you're going to serve, what part of you you're going to serve.
Because you do have, if you're like us and you're empathic and you do have the collective trauma, then you have the ancestral memory that you have. And then you throw in a little bit of karma in there too. So you're like spinning your wheels. Where the hell am I? Right. But I think with the divine feminine, right, because she is this beautiful, and I call her a beast, and it's not out of to degrade her or anything. It's more out of just, I think it's a term of endearment for me, because I feel like the beast sometimes, right? Sometimes you need to be the fucking beast. And I'm going to be the beast more as I move into my light. Does that make any sense to people?
I love how you said that.
Because I think people look at you and they go, oh, well, you're all love and light. But then you're over here saying this. Yeah, because I've had it with your shit, and I'll no longer tolerate your shit. Just because I'm over here love and light does not mean I'm going to tolerate your shit. And there has to come to a balance within each of our own selves where we're listening deeply to that divine feminine. And what does she stand for? That does not mean that she's quiet and will tolerate it. Yes, there's moments when she will walk away. But I can attest to this. There's also moments when she'll stand the fuck up. And I think we're getting into that space where more women are feeling that they're in that space of that potential to be the beast and be the beauty. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think people forget that you have to look at the perception in which is calling you the beast, because, a beast can defend too. Look at what is the Disney movie, Beauty and the Beast, right? He still had the ability to protect, and he had the ability to hurt. It's that, and it's understanding that what is that other saying? What is chaos to the fly is normal to the spider. This is that beast mentality, like, I am allowed to say enough's enough. And if you're like me and you've been a people pleaser most of your life, you're going to be met with a lot of resistance when you start saying no. You're going to
Yes.
be met with a lot of hurtful things. You're going to be called selfish. You're going to be called self-centered. You're going to be called not empathetic, not compassionate. And it's literally because the parts of the world that have been pulling your energy and pulling from you are now being pulled back. And that's when the beast can rise. Or if you don't like beast, use phoenix, because it's rising from the ashes. It's the understanding, like you said, enough is fucking enough.
Yeah.
You sound like an idiot at this point, is what I want to say to a lot of people. Because sometimes I say it to myself.
And sometimes you say it out loud and just realize you just said it out loud.
Yeah, like, especially when I'm down talking myself. I'm like, you know what? You sound like an idiot right now. Because you do. You've accomplished so much, and you've done so much, and there's so much wisdom and so much knowledge. Dare you put it down, And even that duality nature fighting back and forth is so much more now than it ever was. Like, literally telling myself, like, why are you talking to Keegan like that?
Right.
If none of those things that you're trying to make her believe are true. So why are we still talking like that? Let it go.
Yeah. That's
And
when
it's
she's
really
over
hard.
there pulling you. You gotta let that shit go, girl. We're pulling you
Let it
through.
go. Let that shit go.
Embrace it, because you're coming. You already decided.
I can distract myself and blame that feeling on many things in my life, but it's not. It's an internal battle with myself. I choose, like, what I'm going to give my energy to. And I have to stay focused and keep reminding myself. And the
And that's
beast
part
is
of the
just,
journey. That's part of the journey, isn't it? Because we're also here just learning. When people say to me, well, you should know, you're intuitive. And I'm like, well, that's bullshit. First of all, let me tell you the truth about that one. But, secondly, it's like, you don't always know. And we're in this journey, and we do have a mind that is very powerful and that's been trained to think specific things. And so when we're talking about embracing this shadow aspect, for a lot of people, they've been taught to sort of fight that or fight what it was. And a lot of that was because of that oppression. Because if you are embracing that, a lot of times that means speaking your truth, standing up for yourself, not letting people walk all over you. And so you're construed as the bad guy. Well, I'd rather be the bad guy and embrace my shadow than be the one who's over here that's not embracing it. Because one way or the other, what I've found in this journey is yes, we have a choice, but we're also going to be contracted to do what we contracted to do before we came here, and we may not understand what that is. So even if you think you have a choice, you may not have a goddamn choice.
yes, because intuition and spirit could be leading you to blessings, but it can also be leading you to lessons, because it is about karma. It is about our souls. It is about past lives. It is about generations. It is about, family cycle breakers. And all of these things are real. They've been scientifically proven. They've been spiritually proven. They're real. And you can see them inside of you and outside of you. And they have to be surrendered to, and they have to be accepted, or somebody's going to pay the restitution for you keeping your darkness. Someone is going to pay, whether it's you or the next kin of your bloodline. Somebody's going to pay for the energy suppressed. We have a collective, and then we have ourselves.
Man, it goes deep when you think about it, doesn't it?
And it's overwhelming, but it's like, at the same time, it's so simple. You just choose. You choose every day, all day, instead of being so caught up in other people's emotional dramas and what you're seeing on the TV and everything, you actually do have time to work on yourself if you remember, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I know we're on social media now and it helps people like in many, many, many ways, but in other ways too, we are abusing it. We are. Like, imagine
Oh yeah.
some people's lives and what it would look like if they didn't have a phone, if they didn't have technology. How much time could they work on themselves? How much time would they have to connect with people and their family and you know, really sit into the shadow too and think. These distractions are keeping you from seeing the true you. They're getting your emotions riled up, they're getting you in this fight or flight, and then you're forgetting about your dualistic nature.
Yeah, I love that. Especially at night. Like a lot of us just sit there and zone out. You know, we're just like the zombie apocalypse is this now. And you got to wonder because I mean, I love to read. I mean, can see all my books behind me. That's only a piece of them, but I still love to read. And I'd rather much do that than sit in on my phone at night and just, I feel like there's never any space because of all of that to really not only look at yourself, right, or work on yourself, but even just what happened to the fascination and the fantasy of just reading a book that, you know, using both sides of your brain to not only read it, but then visualize what's occurring in the book. Or if you're reading a self help book, but then take that information and let that sit with you before you sleep that night and understand that there's a higher purpose to what you're reading in that rather than just sitting there scrolling on your phone looking at stupid videos that don't mean anything.
Yeah, they mean nothing at all. And half of them at this point are AI. Like, you can tell. They're not even.
No, did you see the one like with the cats? If I watch anything, it's about the cats talking and they're doing a podcast. That's what I'll watch.
They're hilarious, you know, but so much of our time really is taken by it, and then we're trapped, you know. 5 years goes by, a year goes by, months go by, and there's no progress, you know. And
Yeah,
then
that's
depression.
one reason I think I wanted to do the calendar this year because I really wanted to see in a year's time, what do I do with my time? Because it's hard to remember to go back and look. And I'm like, I had specific goals. I wanted to do a couple of events. I wanted to do some 5Ks. I wanted to make sure that I was able to do that. And so I think when you have it all out in front of you, and when I was telling you, you pulled out your calendar too. And I was like, oh my gosh, I should have known.
Because it's not only tracking like what is happening, but it's also allowing me to daydream again about the future, you know,
Mhm.
and to like come into a space with my family and integrate in my family of things that will come in the future. It allows me to set things up for work. I make things up in my calendar and try to manifest them because it's a game I play. And
Yes.
you know, like I I want not only the proof that I know on the inside, but I want tangible things on the outside now. And I don't know why, but I feel like I need to document parts of my life all of a sudden. I feel like there's so much fake and there's so much AI. Like, people are even using Chat GPT to argue. It's like, guys, you
Give me some
know,
quick comeback and let me know. I mean, I've always been good at that, so I don't have to use that.
can you not formulate a thought in your own head? And it's because this is what we do now. There's no daydreaming. And, you know, I understand people are in survival, but like, you're not even daydreaming how to get out of survival. You're
Right.
just, I'm good with it. F it.
Yeah. It's crazy. I want to talk about a little bit about what helps me, and especially when your body's adjusting to everything that's going on. But for me, grounding, and I know I don't do it enough, but grounding for sure. And I have a grounding mat that I use for when I can't get outside. Like it's still 100 friggin' degrees here, but grounding, walking in nature, yoga, dance. What type of activities do you do to sort of help yourself ground?
Well, I should be grounding more too, but I love nature. So I need to be out in the woods at least once a week, at least. Um, I also have been, and I paint and I create all the time. I'm always making stuff. That's my chocolate. And recently I've been trying to do little things that will detox my body, like drinking water with mineral salts and putting vitamins intentfully into my body, choosing things that are purposefully going to nourish my body, because I feel like I can't just spew toxins and what is toxic and what's not. I also have to get them out, like I can't just be acknowledging that these things exist, but not doing anything to clear them, like taking charcoal and trying to do things to clear these toxins that I very much know are in my environment, and I've been trying to be more intentful with those things, and say, like, this isn't a chore, this is necessary, this is ritual, this is just as important as, reading the self-help book. It's just as important as sitting down and writing the book. I have to do it.
Which you are doing.
I am.
You're committing.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this for how long? We've been pulling, right? Like, come on, Keegan.
Oh, it's so crazy. It is so crazy. And the more, like I told you, I've been very much called to like hermit, like what would happen if I just spent 6 months with myself? Like, let everybody be mad, let everybody feel abandoned, let everybody just sit in their crap. What would it look like if I just poured all into the clarity and what's wanting to be ground through me? Because when we ground, it makes room for things to come through us. It makes us a conduit, of creation. And there's just been so much. The more I say, no, I'm not going to participate in that mental load, I'm not taking that on, the more it's like Keegan stuff comes in, or future self or whatever it is. But it really does. And it all started with the archetype of Peter Pan and Wendy and Alice and the Mad Hatter.
Oh, I love that.
How like so many of us as maidens grow up and we have the dreams of Wendy and we want Peter. We want somebody that's going to keep us young, fight against the clock, fight against the hook, And along the way, we fall into the rabbit hole and Peter has to come with us and he becomes the Mad Hatter. And it's amazing, but it makes so much sense. And it makes so much sense for like what we're seeing in society too. Like you really are seeing like Alice and the Mad Hatter, or you're seeing this Peter and Wendy. And to me, that's the split too. It's, are you going to go to this childlike, or are you going to be completely consumed with the evil queen and the never-ending tea time and all of the potions and all of the distractions and the trickster cat and all of these things? Or are you just going to save the children and live happily on the island? What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? I always equate it to the Wizard of Oz. I always feel like there's somebody behind the well, that's the first time I saw that. Behind the curtain, pulling the strings over there, like, which way are you gonna go? We're gonna go this way or that way. And I'm like, just show me which way.
Oh, because we're being lesson or blessing.
Right. Which one do you want to do still? And I'll tell you, I'll be the first to tell you, I usually take the hard way. Hardest way. That's why I also feel like this might be my last wife, is because I've had a hard life. There's no way that I could have fit all this into one life just to come back and do it all again. So I've got to believe that this has to be my last life.
You chose a lot of karma to burn up, girl.
I did.
I should say, Goddess, you chose a lot.
Yeah. I think, if we look at the shadow.
Said, I am grateful though that it's you, because you're brave enough to have a voice so that others don't have to feel alone in it, because so many horrible things and beautiful things happen to people every day and they don't have the courage to share it. So I commend you for you.
I was that person for a long time, and my voice was taken. And that's one of the things I shared recently on a domestic violence show I was on, is that he tried to take what he thought was his, which was my voice. But I said, I didn't just defy death, I defied death. And it was such I get chills now saying it, because it's like, he tried to kill me. So not only did I defy it, but I looked it in the fucking eyes and I was like, you're not taking me out. And I think that was a pivotal moment for me, because the voice is so powerful, yet it was taken away from me for so many years. And I had to fight to find my voice again. It's why I'm so passionate about what I do. And you too. I mean, I'm so grateful for you for being here with me and sharing, because I think when we come together and we do these Third Thursdays, I see a piece of you just grow exponentially each time you do it. And I know you had a little fear behind originally starting to do it, but
I
I've
did.
seen you grown so much in the few that we've done, and it's been amazing to witness.
I know it's part of the healing, Terry. So I thank you, because when I used my voice before, it was used against me. And to have an opportunity to be seen and be heard and be understood and just help one person.
Yes.
If one thing resonates with one person, then I'm happy,
Yeah.
because that's what it's about. It's about inspiring one another to change, inspiring one another to do,
Yeah. And you're not in
because
this alone. It doesn't
no,
have to, you feel alone. I think a lot of times in this journey as a human, we feel alone. We feel like we're the only one. I mean, I feel like I was probably the only one that was going through domestic violence at that time, not knowing it was so prevalent everywhere, right? Because you're sort of hidden away and you're sheltered from really a lot of things. And I think when you start to see that you're not alone, and then this is part of the divine split too. I think it's tearing down all of that stuff, all of those walls, all of that thing where we're told you have to do it by yourself. You don't have to do it by yourself.
exactly. And I think so long too, suppressing the divine feminine and taking away the voice of the divine feminine, that how you said, part of it is using your voice. Part of that change is using your voice. Part of being able to know that you're not alone is speaking your truth, because people can't read each other anymore. We can't speak telepathically. We have to know. So when you keep yourself alone in it and you don't use your voice, you can't find your tribe. You can't have people gravitate to you. You can't inspire someone to move as well, So part of the abuses and the traumas and stuff is that soul recognition of to stay quiet and hold it in. And we are in a place and we have laws literally that tell us to use our voices and to do it, for the innocent, and to do it for those who can't.
Yeah.
And I think that power, for you to move from an abusive situation and things like this came from your voice.
And learning to use it. I think learning, right? We're relearning all of that again. And it's like for so long you feared it, right? And I think that's another thing, just like remembering. I had to remember who I was, right? We talk about
Yeah.
that often. You have to remember who you are. And as you go through this process, I think you finally learn to carry both of those pieces within you.
And why it's important to stand firm in one of them, because you understand it, and how we choose to navigate. And so much. I was just having a chat with a friend about how so much gets suppressed because of shame and guilt and sadness, like terrible things happen to people and they sit alone in it because they're too afraid to be seen in it. And
Yeah.
and these are our real victims. It's not the people complaining every day that, they have no money and they smoke 4 packs of cigarettes and drink beer and do all these crazy things and they're complaining the same thing every day. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ones that really are living in fear, and they just need the push. They just need to use their voice one time and know that they're not alone, and see how much opens up and see how much your world changes, because we do not have to sit in anything anymore, and we are allowed to say no, especially when it comes to our bodies and our mind and our time. If you're
Yeah.
not coming with love, respect, or a check, I don't really have to, I don't.
Yeah.
And it has to be okay. You are worth that. Every single person is.
I love
I
that.
don't care. I don't care if you come from the worst past. If you saw yourself and you said enough and you are a changed person and your life reflects that, you should use your voice, because someone is afraid to choose their heart, and you are a living example that you can change. You don't have to live in darkness. You don't have to. And
Amen.
you don't have to.
Yeah, I love that. I could listen to you forever. You're so profound. I just love having our third Thursday conversations.
Yeah,
Is there anything else you want to add before we finish up?
Yeah, don't like going into these things, because it's like a personal thing. We saw a family get ripped apart over the weekend over heinous things. And, the first thing people want to do is hide information and play damage control, because they don't want the rumor mill to happen and things like this. And I just think about how a family got ripped apart, and how there's a mother, now having to take care of her children by herself, and having to navigate such pain and betrayal, on top of remaining in my heart that the last thing a person should ever have to do is hide in their shame because they're afraid of someone finding out something. If you're a victim of something, you shouldn't be ashamed to get help. You shouldn't be ashamed to need support. You shouldn't be ashamed when something terrible happens to you. That is more than any time that you should use your voice and say that I need help and I need support, because you can't always just be love and light. Horrible things happen. And when they do, we need support. We need to know we're not alone. It's not just in the great spiritual things that we find out or the great changes we make. It's also in the horrible things we have to see every day. And I have been praying hard and just really wanting people to not live in any kind of shame. In order to beat that monster and beat that worthless monster, you have to bring these things to the surface, and you have to own your stories, and you have to own what it is. Because the more you hide from it and the more you suppress it, it will catch up to you every time.
Yeah. Absolutely. Amen, Miss Keegan.
So please, and don't let somebody live in pain that you know is in pain.
Yeah. It's true.
I just can't how people walk by people anymore, and you know that they're struggling, and you know they're in pain, and you just I'm not talking about the same dumb things all the time. I'm talking about people really struggling with their heart space, and really struggling with tragedy, and really struggling with death, and the horrors of life. How are we functioning anymore, not helping when we know somebody's in pain? It's been bothering me.
Sometimes it's just something tiny, minute that would help. I want you to take this episode as not just words today, but as a practice for you to sort of look more deeply into what it is that you're experiencing right now during this divine split, because we're all going through it. We're all making these decisions. And some of us have made the decision already and are still struggling through that. So I want you to listen to the words that we said today, and sometimes listen to the words in between the words, because there's so much importance of what we're sharing, and not everything that we share can be shared through the verbal words without getting silenced, even on YouTube. So pay attention to what's going on in your life and how your body is speaking to you. I know for me, I'm definitely more aware of what my body's saying to me, and my body is not happy with what it's going through right now. So for me, that's a process of where I'm sort of weaving together the body, mind, and soul process that is happening for me. So if you're also in that, just take a few moments this week to sort of look at that, and remember that through every shadow, we always birth a new light, and your life can be completely different in a matter of a short period of time. What we consider a long time on earth, a short period of time.
Exactly. And that we are one choice away from being people that we judge sometimes. And we are one choice away from being people we idolize sometimes.
Mhm.
And I
Yes.
really think that we have to remember that. And we have to move forward in that, and really start asking ourselves what makes us feel good at the end of the day, for real. And
Yeah.
not materials, like what is making my body inside feel not tired, not in pain, not, unrested and in this war. And back to the body, it's really talking to us now. I feel like a lot of us have cleared enough that our bodies can communicate and trust that it's listening. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's going to off more and more the more we practice.
Yeah. Mine saying, stop resisting, bitch.
Yeah. Or I will drag you across the edge.
You're going no matter what. Just stop your shit.
Yeah, I'm telling you, mine has been yelling at me like, give me 6 months. Why can't you commit 6 months to me? You committed all this stuff to everybody else. Why can't you commit to me?
Yeah.
And it's like a love story almost happening. Like, you need me more than anything. I do. I need this vessel more than anything. Why can't I commit to it?
Yep. Because it's hard. It really is hard, especially as, a spiritual person. For me, that's been my biggest struggle, is to be in body. And when I talk about being embodied, in body is hard.
Because our mind, I think, erases the illusion of time, and it can. And our bodies remind us that time very much exists.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed our third Thursday show. And we will be back next month together, shaking it up for you and talking about God only knows what. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you then.